Looks like we're ready. We're ready to begin the 34th Keshe Knowledge Seekers Workshop. And once again, we'll be meeting with Mayran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation. He's at the Spaceship Institute with Marco and Armin, and they'll be describing some of the events that took place this week with the in the lab with the had a major breakthrough of 129 Tesla magnetic field pulse, and there's current activities going on in the lab and some big changes occurring and so on, and a lot of excitement generated this week with the Spaceship Institute. So let's move along and get talking to Mr. Keshe, and we'll find out more about what's been going on and about some of the new announcements and so on that's going on at the Spaceship Institute. Mr. Keshe, are you there?
And good evening to the ones who are going to sleep in Canada.
Hello, we're not hearing you yet. Do we have a microphone on there?
Can you hear us?
Or is it me?
It's you, I think.
I can hear you. I can hear you fine.
I think it's Rick,
Yeah.
which is
Sounds
got
like
his stuff on.
I'm not getting my audio happening. Just a second here. Maybe I have a Skype preference I have to set or something. Yeah.
Oh, we're all set.
Okay, I'm told that the speaker's okay, but I'm not getting speaker coming through in my...
Can you hear us?
I can hear you, Mr. Keshe. It's on Rick's end.
You say it's coming through on the live stream?
I can hear Mr. Keshe.
Okay, apparently we can hear you on the live stream, so we're going to go with that for now. And I'll find another way to hear you through my headphones.
I can hear him through the headphone. I press something here and sound setting. Go there, go so set. There. Go there, go there. Option.
Can you hear us, Mr. Keshe?
You can get the screen
Yes,
set up
I can
here.
hear you through headphones and not through the speakers.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, now okay. Can you hear us clearly?
I can still hear you, yeah.
Okay, no problem. Can we start? We are ready to go?
Yeah, he wants to continue. He'll try to figure out the audio issue on his side while we continue.
Okay, good morning to you, good day, wherever you are for the second time. As a lot of people who watch this or listen to this workshops know, or you've been following the what do you call it, live stream from the lab, we have achieved some major breakthroughs which we are trying to reconfirm and retest and reevaluate. At the moment, we have seen huge Tesla readings. We have asked the operators and developers of the system to retest, to reconfirm the correctness of the equipment. There is a very, very large cumulative reading on the on the Z-axis, which is the field radiation coming out of the free plasma within the cores setup. This has risen a huge question mark in the world of plasma technology at the moment. I know I have spoken with the scientists at Las Almas. They consider it not to be correct. You cannot produce energy or magnetic field at this level with the equipments which we have. But as I explained to the scientists, And as you know, we have informed the Iranian government at the presidential level of the breakthrough. We have informed the Italian nuclear center, the Italian government of the breakthrough. The American security, national security is aware of the development because it has a huge implication. And at the same time, the Russian and the Chinese are fully informed of the development. The reason we have taken this step is that if you can deliver 129 Tesla in bursts, you can literally destroy every satellite system within the boundary of a certain distance from the Earth. So it has a huge application if you can direct it. On the other hand, this brings what was the target of the Keshe Foundation World Peace Treaty one step closer. Let me explain to you scientifically what has happened. That's why it's not acceptable to a lot of scientists of the present, what I call world of physics plasma. Not the plasma technology as we work, and we call it the new technology, independent from the physics plasma or a medical plasma. At the moment, according to the Las Almas, I spoke with the scientists, they've used 1.4 gigawatt of energy to produce for a fraction of a second a pulse of 100.7 Tesla. According to them, the magnets which they use, they explained to me the whole setup, how they've done it. I was on the line with them for quite a bit. And the magnets which they use were totally destroyed. This took years of development to get to this point, and they say they can repeat it. But you have to I can hear myself again. Just 1 second. Are you up? It's Marco. Yeah? Okay. So what has happened in fact is that they had to use such a huge amount of energy to be able to package an energy pack of 100 Tesla. But go back in what you've done and what you studied, what you've developed, and what we taught from the beginning. Ganses are dynamic plasmatic magnetic field balls, billions of them in each reactor, and we have 4 of them. So, good morning, our American friend has arrived. Good morning, Armin. Where's your coffee cup? Oh, you forgot. No problem. Armin just arrived. So, what it is that's why they have a problem to understand this development, and to them is not realistic. But as I said, when you have billions and millions of the small plasmas hitting each other in the dynamic condition the motor we created, releasing and interacting of these fields together is a natural process. They are thinking and working on the electron level and photons. We are working on gravitational magnetic field interaction the way it happens in the universe. So this has shown clearly, and now we have asked other organizations to come and verify it independently. We hope we are correct, and we think we are correct, is that the gravitational magnetic field of 4 small reactors are interacting with each other in a specific formation that they create their own condition for creation of the dynamic plasma, which absorbs any surplus magnetic fields which is released continuously by the other 4. So the free plasma, which is within the structure of the setup, is in fact a real replication of very much, we will show in time to come, on neutrons. If you know how to release the energy from this free plasma, it can release energy in microtesla, to a neutron star. And this process will explain as is needed. That's why one of the reasons we inform the government. People who are involved in satellite defense from high magnetic fields will feel the effect of these reactors as they operate and they take off into space. And then you don't want to have an interference with all the satellite equipment which is sitting and billions has been spent to make life for mankind easier. So what happens? In fact, in the center of this imaginary plasma or sits a very powerful principal star, because all these fields have to be absorbed. The pulses which we see at such a huge amount is when the free plasma, as we showed it on the bar last time, moves and it comes in touch with the center bar, which is the nano-coated. The interaction between the plasma, dynamic plasma, and a matter environment releases these high bursts. Now you understand how correct and why you're seeing these bursts. So, in fact, as the 4 reactors are not totally tuned to be in a perfect loading, because the loading measurement is done by Arman, it's just by the syringe at the moment, and he decides if there are enough in each. There is a slight difference between each reactor. So as the fields are built up, the free reactor in the center of the pyramid moves along in different directions. We have fixed the plate for not to interact and the Earth gravitational field to push the plate to go off center. That's why suddenly when we fix the plate with the 4 reactors, that the vibration of the magnetic gravitational field was blocked, we start seeing such a huge rises, because now whatever was making the plate to move, now it has to be released. Now that we've done this, now all the 4 reactors are fixed position. They cannot be moved. Position in respect to Earth magnetic gravitational field is more or less fixed. I still see some vibrations. The only thing which is left now is fixing the free plasma from moving out of the center. In fact, it doesn't move out of the center. As it comes in touch with the gravitational magnetic nano-coated material on the bar, it's just like grinding a sandpaper with a knife. You see the sparks. These sparks are the peaks you see. There is a process which is happening. I've seen it, and hopefully we try to correct it as we switch the cameras off later on today to reset the whole structure, trying to avoid this condition of release of plasmas. So what you observe at 129 Tesla, once it's confirmed by independent scientists, should be about right, and we can build up on it. There is a point here. Every time we start, we go back from 0, where in fact we should be reading the total amount at the point of every reading. This is one of the questions I have put to the manufacturers yesterday. So, on the other hand, when you look at the graphs of the reading, for the first time, I was looking at it last night, has moved into the positive above 0 by 3, 4, and 5 millitesla. So there are some changes where before X, Y, and Z were used to be always below 0. On the other hand, what we see is that the increase in the dynamic fields, in some cases because you only see the peaks, leads to the reduction in the weight of the system. this creates, if you're scientifically trained, you should understand this creates a big problem. Because your detectors are giving you a position, field strength in a free environment. But the scale is measuring inertia mass condition in the environment. That's why there is an understanding. I explain this later on. This is the difference between the mass and the weight, and then at the same time interaction of the field, which does not exist but influences the weight and the conditions, like very much like a wind on a scale. If you have very strong wind, you can reduce the weight if you keep it in the right direction on the mass which is on the scale. There is these things I will explain as we come to it in the coming time. So one of the points which is fundamentally different and is changed is not just the weight. In the teaching of yesterday with the children, I brought this in a very much in the front for the children to understand. And Rick tells me this morning it was a bit too much for children to understand. Now we go through it in a different way, but very in a similar way, in explaining this, for people to understand what is happening. A plasma is a free dimension. Wait, I've just received, Alma wants me to receive to tell you.
Sorry, what was that, Mr. Keshe? I didn't catch that last sentence. I don't know,
Arman has put something. I don't understand what it means. You have to let me read this afterwards, because now I cannot read it. I don't know what it means. It's somebody's theory. He assumes, and we got to see what his assumptions are.
Okay.
So what has happened is that each reactor is independently creating its own gravitational magnetic field. Each reactor interacts with its next door neighbor reactor plus the collective fields of all the other three. So the ball inside is very much a spherical hexagonal shape. And it depends how it's pushed by which field. You distracted my line of thoughts. So what happens is that the magnetic fields from the free plasma now itself interacts with the other four plasmas in the cores. So even though the four reactors fields being magnetical and gravitational lead to creation of the free plasma environment in the center of the pyramid, now this free plasma as an entity becomes to interact with the other four too. And at the same time, because it's receiving continuously residual field for both gravitational and magnetic field from four sources, which are nearest to him plus from the environment, it becomes strong enough, it should become strong enough to interact as a total representation of the 5 reactors in respect to the gravitational magnetic field of the Earth. And that's why you see the changes in the scale, in the weight. And sometimes it does not make sense, because you are looking at the weight of the whole system as it's hanging from the hook, but an imaginary space, a free space plasma is dictating the condition. And it depends where it's moving to, it dictates the weight loss or a weight gain. We see this now because we switched the cameras off in the lab for bandwidth problems. You've seen it since yesterday. There are no motors running. There are literally no electrical systems which are running except two small pumps which are testing a light system which Marco is developing. There are no electronic things running in their labs. And we have seen drops in weight since yesterday. And it's coming to near enough to 11.16, which was the original weight where we started it. If you've seen, the weight was in 13 kilogram, 12 kilogram, and went to 13.8 kilogram, went down to 10.6 kilogram. Those interactions is enforced on the plasma. Now the plasma, the free plasma, is accepting its condition in respect to the Earth's gravitational magnetic field and settling at about the same figure, at 11.2, 11.16. What does this mean? This goes back to the teaching we said. First of all, the frame and the mass outside the parameters of the reactor are connected beyond the fields of the reactor, effective environment, which is its atmosphere, its magnetosphere, atmosphere. So they are holding it, they are dictating the position. This dictation of the position by hopefully tomorrow should be sorted, because we are putting the reactor on a stacker system, which means we'll be independent of the environment. On the other hand, the whole free reactor is still interacting with the other reactors, which is about 9 of them around the lab, with their fields, with their plasmas, with their ganses. So it is still influenced by the environment, not by itself. Very, very interesting point. As a lot of you know, on Tuesday lunchtime, we asked Arman and Marco to take charge over the running of the reactor independent of the motors. This process in talks, last workshop, last Thursday, I said it, and if you listen to it, it was mentioned it's going to be done. And it was just as usual, just people listen as to a talk. But everything I say has a meaning and a reason when I say it. In the talk last week, I said soon that we're going to have the reactors to be run. In the past few months, we indicated and we explained that the control of the plasmatic reactors through matter-based, like electronics and computer, will not be able to be done because it's so fast and it's so powerful that electrons have no effect on dictating the condition of the plasma, which is the mother plasma. As I say to children, a little 2 years old cannot move a 40-year-old elephant. It's that difference. It has no effect. Electronic systems have no effect on running and controlling the condition of the plasma. And in time, when you see the fields go beyond the boundary of the each reactor that you can see its interaction as a totality, you find out that you can't even communicate through the electronics to run the system to motors. This is why we're bringing everything into the stacker unit. That we are within the system, at least we might have some control over the motors. So, as I said last week, and now on Tuesday, to the surprise of Armand and Marek and Marco, they were asked to take charge over the running of the reactors through their thoughts and not through electronic means. This was some point of apprehension and excitement between the two. So to settle the situation, I asked them to leave their premises and try to control and come back about 3 hours later. We monitored the operation within that 3 hours. In one point we could see joint feeling because both I knew what their thoughts were, and we saw changes on the scale. When they came back at 3 o'clock, known to them what they were doing a couple of weeks ago, I asked them to make 2 keys. These keys are built to control the reactors. And they've been on the table for a couple of weeks and they thought it's forgotten. These keys we tested about a week, 2 weeks ago with Armand going outside the lab and trying to see how it can interact with the reactor cores. Each one was given 1 key and was sent home. Go and do whatever you like, cook, drive, sleep, whatever. But I asked them to write down who's in command, and when you're in command, you hold the key in your hand, otherwise you keep it away or put it in your pocket. And then I monitored overnight the development, the increase, the decrease, and changes in the whole scale of the work. If you go on a live stream, you see that when Marco was in command till 8 o'clock, we lost a lot of weight very rapidly. 280 grams, 300 grams. When Armand came on, the losses became slower. And even sometimes there were no changes because he was asleep. And again, if you go on the live stream, I made a couple of small comments during the night and early mornings that Armand is asleep and blah blah, and you immediately saw a drop in the mass, in the weight. We have access to change, but we have access to change through the emotion and the feeling, not necessarily touching the system, because I was away, at least 100 meters away from the lab. If you check the writings where I wrote and I refer to Armand or asleep or whatever, you see immediately within milliseconds changes. This was done deliberately to show we even control the emotion and the feeling control of another body through the system. There is a huge explanation in what is about to be explained. When they came back about 10 o'clock yesterday, I gave them 2 hours. And I said, now for next 2 hours, 1 hour each, you are near the building, try to control. They never saw the screen, they were not aware of what's happening. The important thing was to see how their effects and the emotions and thoughts can affect the system. We were not looking for high pulse numbers. I was looking for behavior. A lot of you looked for numbers. Oh, it's going down, Armand is asleep, the other one is doing, oh, he's having a coffee. It's nice to see. But what was the whole plan was to understand behind it the behavior of the controllers. And then at 1 o'clock, we took the keys back from them. And the keys are in my pocket. So if you go back on the readings, we finished by 1 o'clock. And then next week I explain exactly what has happened. Now the two are not in charge, but in fact they are emotionally connected. The whole structure is very simple. The line of communication, computers, and all the latest gadgets in material world, in the world of physics of matter, in a space operation is obsolete. What happens? I explained this yesterday in the children's presentation. If you haven't seen it, I explained that each plasma is made of gravitational magnetic fields, very much as you see it. At the same time, two plasmas, to connect to each other, they have their own fields which they interact. The interaction of the fields happens on magnetic gravitational level. What does this mean? There is no electrons. What this sends out as a field, in fact, is very much picked up by the other. So the two fields are interconnected through the magnetic fields of each other. In reality, what we see, what comes from the north of one or the exit of one ends up with the entry of the other. So the field interaction crosses each other. What happens? Magnetical field is slightly different in the strength than gravitational field strength. So the two never, in fact, what you call delete each other out, but they still have interaction. So what is sent out on a magnetical field by the magnetical fields of one is received immediately by the other. And what is sent out as a magnetical field by one, at the point of equality in the strength, is taken over by gravitational magnetic field of the receiver. So as this pushes away, at the instance will be picked up by the second one by gravitational. So communication is instantaneous. And is the same the other way. When the other one sends the fields through magnetical, at the point of balance of the two fields, the gravitational field of the other one pulls. So zero-time communication is upon us. Because electrons take too much at the moment to send a message to all the latest mechanical electronic systems. From here to moon is few seconds. To Mars, few seconds. If you understand this concept, if you are in a communication system, and you can use the properties of the GANs in interaction with nano layers, you should be able to make zero-time nano machines, computers, communication lines within the coming time. This changes the whole world of communication. This is what I said, none of this technology can be patented. Now, you be anywhere in part of the universe, Because the gravitational magnetic fields can go from one strength to another according to the point of gravitation, you move in by the order of magnitude without any losses. So it doesn't matter if you are at the boundary of the universe or you're on Earth, what you say is heard instantaneously. At the moment, those who are familiar with the world of electronics, you see everything is adjusted that the voice matches the picture by the time it arrives, even though we know the voice arrives a few seconds later than the picture. They've synchronized it. With this technology, there is no need for a synchronization. The plasma technology, the ganses which you produce as a plasma, brings in a new game in communication in the world of the technology of man's interaction with others. But at the same time has a huge application. The application is, now that the man is trained to look and understand this way, which he could not see, now you can read each other's thought, even with the machine. Each other's intention. So you can feel, you can have a machine very soon. We've done it here now, we've shown it practically done with the machines, with the thoughts controlling the system. That you know what is the intention of the guy when he says hello to you. Is he a friend or is he there to rob you? Is he there to shake hands as a president of the major government to create war? Or is he there to sincerely help your nation? The false handshakes and promises are over. The way now we put detectors to see who's going through the ports with the temperature that they can bring Ebola, the same kind of detectors will tell the authorities who's planning to do what activities and what other intentions. This is why 3-4 weeks ago I called on the world governments to talk about and come to understand the application of this technology in respect to what's happening in killings, in mayhems by terrorism and the rest. This technology will change and change the core of the whole structure of how man lives and operates at the moment. When we talked, it was a talk. Now we start showing it. You've seen it in the past 24, 48 hours. You've seen how very less than 1 or 2 grams, there's a dispute between me and Arman, let's say 5 grams of gas material can reduce and create 3 kilograms of weight. That's, let's say 2,500 grams for 5 grams of material, which is never going to be destroyed, and it's still 5 grams for the time to be as long as the man and his ancestors live on this planet. We have not destroyed a single entity. We have used the conditions that the entities have created through gravitational magnetic field in advantage and the use of man. So the time of burning fuel is over. A lot of people write to me, can you give us the free energy? Arman has the system sitting in the lab. And in the coming weeks, we will show you how you can create as much free energy as you like at home. But that will not solve your problem. That just begins your problem. Your biggest nightmare is when you're going to have the free energy. The biggest revolution and evolution in man's history will come when within coming weeks we teach you how to create these systems and produce energy through very, very simple systems. Most of people have a pressure cooker in the house. With a pressure cooker, I show you how you can have everything you want. But don't forget the way I talk. When I said with 2 mobile phones you can have everything you want, you were looking for water dripping and gold dripping from the mobile phone and all the energy. So we opened the packages of it. And you understood the copper layers in the battery are your source of energy. In a coming time, when your knowledge becomes further, You will hold on like gold to the pressure cookers which you're not using and it's been there from grandma's time in the cupboard. When we build the system, when we show it, then you understand it why. Because by then, most of the knowledge of the plasma will come together for you to be able to reach the next step. Our target is not here to achieve lift and show energy. Our target here is to teach that everybody understands that we move collectively together. This is very similar, and we are, as of this week, coming weeks, we cross language barriers, that not everything is in English. I have spoken with the Chinese Keshe Foundation group, and hopefully we already had a couple of hours session this last Monday. From next Monday, with the help of the people at the live stream, we will teach in Chinese, and it gets translated by the scientists and the knowledgeable scientists in China, that instantaneously we see to what they need to do, because they have achieved the step breakthroughs in agriculture, and now we speak with them in their language. And then we open the agriculture through the Keshe Foundation China. They need to gain some confidence, and then when they come in, you see how the changes will come. They have grown seeds. We had a talk with a gentleman who was doing it and the way it's been done. We have a gentleman in Europe who's developed the Keshe Foundation seeds for the Keshe Foundation, and we have connection with the agricultural center in Africa to actually do mass production or mass growth of the materials in Africa. The structure is coming together. Tomorrow I'm speaking with the Mexico Keshe Foundation organization. The people flown in today. There is a conference or a small meeting going on in Mexico City with the Keshe Foundations of Spanish-speaking Mexico with the scientists. And tomorrow we organize the teaching in Spanish. This technology is not limited to any language, race or color. So now you understand, you do not need to know Spanish to understand what the Chinese guy is talking about. You know his intention and you know his needs, because now with this technology, in a very, very short time, the electronic wizards will come up with the computer wizards to develop these technologies. We already received a request from multinational organizations of scientists based in Hong Kong and China, and we responded to them. We are prepared to talk. We do not usually respond to organizations who approach us, but we check, and if it is in that level, and they work with the same philosophy as the Keshe Foundation, free sourcing, which means free patterns everybody can use. So now a little test in past 48 hours in the foundation, as I said, has changed the course of humanity. As I was talking yesterday to the children in the program, a lot of us remember 1844, first telephone call of Bell. Past 48 hours be registered in the same manner in the history of man. Two people communicating through their thoughts with a machine and dictating his thoughts in a free way. You got to understand what was given to instructions to the knowledge seekers. You don't take and you don't give, you wish and you have to come. And still you saw pitfalls. When the wishes to fly was so powerful, instead of wish, it became a demand and the system failed. This is how you operate in the space technology of the future. I desire to save and be what I am, and I want to be in a position where I want to be. If you understand, as I say, read the book number 3. The size of this universe is dictated by the gravitational magnetic fields of the other universes which is within, and it cannot expand beyond that if it's not allowed to by other field forces. It's very much like putting a balloon in a room full of balloons. The shape, the position of the balloon is dictated by the other balloons which are in the room. This is the same with the plasma. So, the condition and the position which your system is allowed to move in is dictated by what other fields allow you to move in. They accommodate you. Even you think you can go with the 10,000 times speed of light and you can enforce it. If the fields are not there to allow the accommodation, you will not be able to achieve it. This is one of the reasons the reactors are still on the floor in the lab. This is why the time with Marco losses were more rapid. I asked him yesterday when he came back, explain to me what you felt and what you wanted and what was your feeling. He told me in a simple word, Arman wanted to fly, so I helped him. Am I correct, Marco? So, what does this mean? Unity in action. Being equal, not taking and not giving. That's why Marco and Arman are chosen to be as a, what do you call it, joint equal partners in this development part of the section. We have stopped every kind of research here till this is completed. So, Marco, with a feeling of I accommodate, made the accommodation and the loss were very rapid. And the peaks came in a different way. Arman's intention wanted, this was a want, I want to fly, I want the systems to fly, because to him it's important to show a flight, to justify I'm correct, but he is actually correct, because he built the systems, but he hasn't realized that yet. And when the two come in balance between the two controllers and the system become equal to them and will take their wishes. The system will sit on the floor till these two decide we are equal with the system, but at the same time system operates within the environment, so we have to get the permission. It's different than you asking for a piece of bread with demand, and you asking for a piece of bread with request of pleasure. A piece of bread is thrown at you, or a piece of bread is given by two hands to you. It's trust. I'm safe, you are correct. This goes back to the ethos of the Japanese culture and the Chinese culture mainly. Our Chinese colleagues tell you, what I learned with the Chinese over years of being in interaction and being with them, if you give money with one hand to a person, he will count it. Because you are not sure, he is not sure. So there is no dispute, we accommodate each other. But if you give money with two hands and it's received with two hands, the man will never count, which means I trust everything is safe. This is how it has to be and how the fields operate. The two hands is gravitational magnetic field. Gravitational and magnetic field is we give it two hands and we find accommodation. We trust, we find balance. There's a lot in the cultures the man has forgotten why. And that's why in the West we just put the money on the counter, because we don't even trust handing over, because the guy might have a Ebola or a disease. So the operation of these magnetic gravitational field plasmas are not just for the physical motion, but understanding the emotion in the behavior of the man too. And now, as We said yesterday, talking here, you become the judge of your own behavior and you try to find balance and correctness. So we are going towards one step toward the world peace. What does this mean? When you are in charge, when you know is it correct, there is no need for laws and books to be written in different religions and languages of the punishment, because you are aware of your own doing, so you do not do wrong because you know it'll be rejected with two hands. Now we show the work of the plasma in the operation of the man's work of life. This is where the society has to learn, and in a very simple way, in the coming days and weeks, those who've been waiting and wishing to see the fresh light and lift, you will see when you're all ready to receive the knowledge collectively for the world peace. Because when this gift is given, cannot be retracted, and when this gift is accepted, has to be on the basis of world peace and universal peace. Nations who have it are calling and claiming for peace. Tomorrow in the medical section is about the bone marrow and heart, or bone and heart. Then we'll show you how, with what we're going to release, will change the course of the humanity in so many ways for the present time. I said if I have to take you off brick by brick, I will do, and now we'll start taking the bricks off. And then when you take the foundation away, the whole structure, doesn't matter how big it is, will collapse under it. Because now we start showing you. You've seen in a very simple way how plasmas communicate and how we can detect your emotions and your feelings, and how your emotions and feelings can operate systems at zero cost. We had to build the copper cores to show it. But if you can walk into a shop, as Rick has shown you, buy yourself a couple of ping pong balls. You can see what your neighbors are thinking and doing as much as you can see your president when he stands there and tells you everything and he's all lying. As I said in talk yesterday, in a coming time, a president will stand in front of his people without talking, because people will read his intentions and they understand his motion. As it's been said, very soon no one will take the crown of kingship, because it'll be so hard not to lie. Because with this technology, you can feel, you can understand what the intentions are in the brain, not what the sound comes out of the the mouth, or what is written and what the fingerprint on the computers. It's very simple. A GANS is an entity. And as I always said, pray for your reactors before you build it, because when you pray for it, you make the connection with it, and through its connection, you understand, and it understands what you need, when you need, as much as you need. The beauty of this time with this technology, when it's dispersed among the man, is that man has made enough mobile phones. As I told you, mobile phone has been the biggest friend for the society, and the biggest change in the whole structure of the man in interacting with each other. And thanks to scientists who developed it and spread it, and past 30 years, all the ones which were the worst ones, the ones who went damaged very fast, all been sent to Africa to get rid of it, because we didn't want the waste. Africa become the waste ground of this planet, because they don't understand they can have it. Chemicals we don't need, we send to Africa. But this time, by sending all the broken computers and telephones or whatever to Africa with their batteries, has made Africa one of the richest nations in energy, in power, without making a move, without a single digging of an oil well. The new battery-operated telephones, you cannot reach the battery. Look at the Apple. Open your Apple phones. Destroy €900 to get into 5 cents copper lining inside it. The rich will suffer more this way, and the poor will have the benefit of what has been discarded as rubbish. I said, and I always say till people understand, till the mankind doesn't become as one with this technology, mankind will find a lot of problems with itself, because it has to change the attitudes, who is superior, who's different color than I am. As I said, the time of WC is over. A lot of people don't know what WC means. This was used in South Africa during the apartheid. White color only toilets. And still, in some nations, you see the word WC, it means we are still racist. And in most of the nations, you see toilet. This is the change which is coming irrespective of color, religion, creed, and nationality. And very soon, hopefully within coming days, when Armand and Marco, with the way they are setting the systems, it will come and hit the government so hard to understand that the game of war and planning war and sanctions according to the profit of the pocket is over. We open the doors. We literally take brick by brick out of every frame till the man all become humble enough to be all on the same ground level. At the moment, tomorrow, I'll make an announcement about Ebola and what is happening in Africa regarding Ebola and the Keshe Foundation. Again, stealing of technology. But how can you steal when everybody has it? Again, blocking and stealing has come from Harvard University. But this time, we'll release it in a mass in such a way that Harvard University can show all the research. Do not forget that the scientists from Harvard University were present at the presentation of the Presidential Palace in Sierra Leone when the Keshe Foundation technology and gas was submitted for eradication of Ebola. I released the documents and the papers which is released by Harvard University confirming 100% GANS materials are the solutions to Ebola. And they released pictures to it as well, how it's done. I sent the documents to the head of the University of Sierra Leone past 72 hours. So they know they've been lied to. But strange enough, out of Harvard University where the professors were sitting there, trying to claim they discovered something new, where actually the technology has been sitting with them and they've been using the Keshe Foundation technology. Now that the African have it, it doesn't work. Because they cannot sell millions of drugs with it. But the Africans use it without permission because it's their life. They have the right to survive. There is a very important point in the whole structure of the plasma technology. Plasma, the way we open the plasma technology is very, very simple. When you open it, there is no difference between what inside it and how it behaves outside. It has one face. So that's why, because it has one face, it cannot do anything, because the only way it can survive is to share and be equal with the others. depends on the strength and depends on the location. So the process of past 72 hours here at the foundation has not just been to show two men can control with their thoughts the operation of the reactor. A lot of you looked for it. But go back again and watch the last 24 hours, 72 hours recording. Look at the weight gain, weight loss, and not on the Z, but on the X. X is what is coming from the environment. What this field is releasing that others can use. Y shows how the plasma itself is prepared to control its environment. Pole to pole, 360 degrees. And Z is how much the plasma is prepared to give out because there is a need for it in the environment, so it's become a mother. We see changes in the plasma on the X, Y, and Z, not to see how far, and how high we go and claim the digit number is wrong because the system is wrong because I'm more clever. This is exactly the behavior of materialistic people who are thieves. The whole data, the whole numbers, the whole weight scale is to understand the behavior of the environment. How much are you prepared to take? And how much you are imbalanced in your environment. If you look, X and Y are very, very similar to each other. None of you ever noticed because the figures are not big enough because you are in the world of megawatts and mega computers. But you've forgotten the little numbers which are the most important. I always say, I'm a nuclear physicist, I'm a nuclear engineer, which means I take notice of the minutest. Let the civil engineers be busy building big blocks which have no meaning in the future. You're looking for big numbers in the data which we are releasing. I'm interested in the behavior of how the X, which means the environment, is prepared to give, and how Y, which is the plasma, is behaving itself. Why is it changing from negative to positive? Why is spreading its strength in a different direction? Is there a demand somewhere else that it's forgotten, or it's a call? It's like somebody calling you from the left side down the street, or then somebody calling you on the right side on the street. You turn to pay attention to give them what they need. And that's how the plasma goes from negative to positive, or changes its polarity. I'm not interested in those 120 mega, or what do you call it, Teslas. Even though for the human being it's got a huge significance. What does it mean when a source gives so much? Means there is a need for it. The field is not only in the direction of the detector, the field releases 360-degree plasmatic, which means the whole of environment needs it, which means there is a hunger, there is a need. Start reading figures in reality what it is. I told you, pray for your reactors, because your reactors are alive, they have their own character, and they carry the character of the Creator. Generous and equal to one and to all. If you compare the amount of energy is taken by the fields, by the plasma, in the free environment, is nothing to the amount of energy which the plasma is releasing to its environment. Strange enough, a lot of the fields go out of the plasma when one person walks around or near or thinks about the plasma, and we know who it is, because he's a thief. There's 2 or 3 of them. Because they were here when these systems were built, they have a direct connection. But they cannot do, we let them, I want to see how they behave and I see it. In English we call them thieves of Baghdad. Robbing at night. Now the behavior is open to us. Now you can understand. In a medical language we call these people ADD, attention deficiency. They do so much, they steal so much to keep attention, that they exist. So now in a very simple way, you just put a reactor and a detector in front of your lab, in front of your house. You know exactly which every neighbor thinks about you and what they're knocking on the door for. They are there to give you a kiss and a cuddle and help you, or there to steal and rob you and stab you. You know you have these sensors in front of your gate. When somebody passes, it goes beep. You know somebody's coming into the shop or past the gate in the house. Very soon you have the same system, but beep will tell you the guy is coming to give, but is wearing the clothes of what do you call it, a poor man, or he comes as the clothes of the priest to rob, and be very generous on the outside, because the system will read the intentions, not the clothes of the man. You have to go back and look at the past 48 hours readings, ignore the X and ignore the Y. The weight is irrelevant. Look at the X and Y. Then you know what time Marco was in charge, and then you know what time Armand was in charge. And then you understand the anxiety and the true cleverness and the clearness of the life. If I open a channel to the reactors, every one of you, it doesn't matter if you're in China, in Tokyo, in Canada, or in South America, will be able to control the reactor. We're going to do this very soon. We choose a number of people around the world that collectively, when all your wishes are exactly the same, you'll be able to see the left. And that will be the time when we reach the World Peace Treaty. We give you a hidden key access. I'll show you what the key is that the knowledge seeker has been carrying with them. This is the key. And this is the other one. One was given to Marco and one was given to Armin. Inside these keys, because they're human, they have to have something physical, is the same material as is and from the same containers as is in the 3 cores. So the plasmatic magnetic field in these keys is directly connected to the fields in the reactors. Mother does not need next to the child to show the love and affection and is thinking about it. The child is in South America and the mother is in the North Pole. Through the connection of the field birth and connection of the origin, they are connected. Mother feels the pain of the child or happiness of the child. This is the child and it's in the hand of Armin, and the mother sits, so the emotion of the child is transferred to the mother. As simple as that. Every container is being built by Armin and Marco. The system has been, so many times we've seen the pictures, the two of them putting the system together, helping each other to build it. I said to both of them yesterday or the day before, and they understood in a very simple way, hopefully. I said, if you think you chose to be here in the institute, you're so far wrong. You've been chosen to be here by the soul. So, if you have the wrong intentions inside you, as we've seen with other people who are not here anymore, now you understand why two are here. Because if you bring charlatans in, they carry the key, they sit in front of the machine and we see their behavior, so they're not here. I told you, a few months ago, I got every knowledge seeker to sit in front of the system to give and take. And in that process, I knew the structure of the soul, how it'll behave in handling these keys. And now you know, two people are here. As I said, walk in with the clothes of the priest, but be a thief inside. And we had them and they're gone. Because if I would have given this key, when it's supposed to go the right way to go up, it'll go down and cause mayhem. Now you understand how advanced we are, but we have to speak the language that you understand, and you let you to see it physically, the way you see it in a physical eye, and then put the truth to you in the reality of what you've seen through the eye of a man. So, the science of the technology, the science of the universe, is merging with the behavior of the universe. There is no difference, there are no religions in the universe. Religions are man-made. That's why we put an end to it, as of 2 weeks ago. Because now, every man is responsible for his own behavior, because his behavior it affects himself, nobody else. In a way, you put yourself to be rejected from the fields of the others or be accepted, and not many people would like to be rejected. And now you know why and how we operate. Science and belief and conduct will go hand in hand. These are the three gifts which are in the Bible, which came by the three wise men. Now you know the wisdom. If you think correct, your reactor will respond to you correctly. If you act correct, then you don't harm nobody. And if you talk and behave correct, you live in an environment that you give because you need the others on need. This was the promises of the three wise men. Talk correct, think correct, and behave correct. And when you do that, you're not a thief. Thou shalt not steal. And now you know why. If you steal, the system doesn't behave, doesn't respond to you. So what's the use of wasting energy? And you've seen, because Marco was in intention to support the what was the desire of Armin, he lost a lot very quickly. In 2 hours, 3 hours, 280, 300 grams. But Armin's wish was, I want to see for fly. Your want has to be accommodated. And every time the want was so big, to satisfy the subconscious, we allowed 20 grams. So try to understand, this is not anymore energy producing system, CO2 system, lift machine and energy machine. There is no CO2 in the space, there is no lift machine in the space, and there is no 10 gigawatt generators. Everything is million micro, but everybody lives equal and perfect, has everything they need. Any questions? I hope you can find the button.
Oh yes, I found it.
I found a button, but it might echo in the live stream. And in case, I'd like to ask a question here. Again, I'm interested in this concept of what you brought up, the words free plasma. And for example, in what you have on the table there, how do you see, or how can we visualize free plasma in terms of, say, for example, the keys? How would the term free plasma apply to those keys? Is it around those keys?
No. You see, this is the problem with your physical eyes. This is what we said, like the plasma fields inside a plasma. With your understanding and what you see through your eyes, this is the end point, because they're finished. But in fact, there is no end to motion of the magnetic fields. They go forever. They link from one to another and another and another. This is no end. And somewhere in that process of going from one to another, they cover, they encompass the keys. And the keys are in the same position. They have fields, which is made by the same strength material, by the same plasmas. So nobody is giving to reach someone. Everybody is in the same pot. We say, you want to move further out. Okay. So there is not that the keys send anything out. You missed a very big point. First of all, gases are plasmas, so they behave the same. And at the same time, the material in the keys and in the cores are the same. So their field is, has, and will be part of the same. So there is no change. But because in demonstration you're still human, you say, oh, the field ended there. Because, sorry, I cannot have 1,000,000 kilometer wires to go around the universe and come back to show all the fields are connected. This is the problem with the physicality. But all the fields are encompassed. This is the field from the reactor, which does not finish. It carries on and it connects with another one and it connects with another one. And if you look at it that way, if it means to you, if you can see the shape, so this connects with the other one and the other one, and then they encompass and they go around the key. There is no end. And when this is...
Mr. Keshe, would the free, what you call free plasma, would that be the total encompassing?
Okay, hold on.
I'm confused where free plasma enters in.
Wait. Our confusion will come off in 1 second. You see, this is the core where the fields are coming out of it. This plastic. Now the same plasma is free. That's what we call free plasma. No containment, but being contained, accommodated by what is in the environment accommodated in. In a physical body, we wear a skin to create that environment, the separation. In the
In the
universe, there
universe,
are
there are
no
no
skins.
skins.
If you
If you
have
have
a
a
gel
gel
in a
in a
balloon,
balloon,
it's
it's
contained by
contained
the
by the
gel.
gel.
And
And
then when
then
you
when you
blow
blow the
the
balloon, the
gel
gel
opens up
opens up
free,
free,
takes the
takes the
space where
space
it
where it
wants
wants
to,
to,
and
and
connects with
connects with
whatever
whatever
it
it
likes.
likes.
A free plasma, it means not having containment, but being contained by the balance fields around the environment where it is. We don't see a container around the plasma of the solar system, and we don't see a container around the galaxy. But the fields of the galaxy creates a container size for the stars within it. And then the fields within the universe gives a container size to the galaxy. Is the strength and order of magnitudes of the mass. So the free means fields are contained by the environment, where in a reactor plasma is contained by a matter. Both are contained. One to you as a man is physical, now you can see it, it's a cup. And one as a plasma technologies, as a plasma science, you see what other fields in the environment have created a container. And this container, unfortunately, has no shape and size, and it changes according to what happened to the fields around the place. This is one of the reasons why, as of next week, you see the reactors going into a new container, what do you call it, frame, and be moved to the lab of their own, that to understand their behavior independently as much as we can. We were with Marco yesterday. The room is very dark. It's totally, absolutely dark, 24 hours a day. So, as I said, the whole structure of the foundation through the security and me being poisoned is getting restructured, and this is bringing a lot of changes in how we operate and we run our business in respect to teaching and research. So, in the compound within the park, we have 3 buildings. So, one of the buildings is totally now is allocated for research and development and teaching, where before we were all over the place. As I said, when they try to get rid of us, we make the opening much easier and faster. When they went to poison me and with the arsenic and all the pains which I went to go process before dying, it forced us now to isolate but open it much faster. And you've seen since past 3-4 weeks, and since what Marco made the comment, we have opened the doors in an unprecedented way for research and development. There is no restriction. You are used to physical boundary, now you have to get used to magnetic gravitational boundary. Then you understand if you are intruding in another field or not, or what field is present in front of you. Most of the creatures of intelligence, of high intelligence, have no physical tangibility to the eye of the man. How do you know you're in presence of a highly intelligent creature which can help you to survive and make life easier for you? You have to lose the eye of physicality. Then you see the truth in the way you see a lot of things around you. You'll find out you'll be living among the ocean of the creatures which you never knew. And you call them ghosts. Something moved. Because as you've seen with the free plasma, when it touches the bar, it releases a pulse. Sometimes when these creatures of the universe touch physical man, you see that the spark, you feel the push. You call it a ghost. Welcome to the world of universe. Depends in what you have contained it in. Sometimes you feel a touch without anybody around you. Have you ever stood still to understand you are not the only creatures in the universe which has a physical existence? Not tangible, but physical existence. And sometimes, if the tangibility of the fields slows down, you will see them in the image of man. Because that's how you recognize things. And your brain can figure it out. This is near to what I know. This is why, if you go back a few weeks ago, I said that we are making a frame box for man to be able to see other creatures in the lab. And this is why I'm freeing the frame, because I need the frame to give you the container to be able to show you that you're not alone in this planet, in this universe, because now you understand the physicality of the plasma. If I would have told you there is a plasma there, you would have believed it. I had to put a detector there and you watched it for nights, you didn't go to sleep. Now you believe there is something there because you see data, you see numbers. Now you will be taken to the next step, that you have to come to believe that there is something there. We call it a free plasma. You say, explain to me the difference between a plasma and a reactor. Now you understand where we are taking you. And don't forget, in all the workshops, I give you a hint what is to come. You got a very big hint. And I told you a few months ago, we need a frame to make a space that we can show you the creature and the creatures of the universe. Because you cannot keep a fish on the dry land. You want to have a live fish and enjoy its beauty, you have to make an aquarium. Now we are making the aquarium of the universe. But you had to see it to understand it. Now slowly we take it to that level. And then you understand how much knowledge is still to be given to the man to move from this village of animal planet Earth. For you, 6 months ago, nanomaterial was a puzzle. What is in that Coca-Cola? What's the Keshe Foundation liquid that we can have? Now you all produce it. Now you produce the GANs. Now you produce the fields. Now you see the effect of the fields in the free plasma. Then in time, when you all unite together, you'll be able to see the lift, which is your biggest wish. You all can fly anywhere in the universe with your own physical body, but you've forgotten how. But you like to see something else does it, that then you believe there is something. You will produce as much energy as you like, but now, slowly, when you created this free plasma, and you can create a balanced free plasma, then empty space of the universe will talk to you in the frame of the lab. Then, as I said, we show you what you call the video of the past, who's done wrong to who and where. You will see the presence of blessed name Christ. It's all recorded. This is what I said. We dismantle Vatican brick by brick if we do not achieve world peace, where the Pope has no say when the Master is present. We are getting there and you're seeing it. You call it the free plasma. Now you understand where we are going. When the chief of army is present, a foot soldier has no room. Those who claim, we can ask their questions to their claim. We just bring you the soul of the Christ. And you've seen it, free energy. This technology is not given just for you to see free space. It's given to free man from the shackles of tangibility and physicality. Very soon you will understand. You talk to the plasma will respond to you. Are you comfortable? Would you like to go to the left or would you like to go to the right? The This is what I told to the knowledge seekers yesterday. We'll practice this once a week. Once a week they have the key, and slowly, you cannot expect them the first time to jump. You've never seen a pilot become a, what you call a jumbo jet pilot in the first time he sits behind the wheel. He starts with a little glider. And that's, this week has been just showing them what the planes look like. And it takes time, and all of you will go with us. It's not just the two. We'll carry those who are clear in conscious to be part of the World Peace Treaty. You've got to realize something. There is no difference in the structure and the fields of my body and yours. Doesn't matter what color, what clothes, where I live or you live, and what position we have chosen to entitle ourselves to in the world of physicality. I'm as much connected to the most powerful man on this planet as I am to the poorest in the literally slums of Africa. So I'm responsible for both, the way you are and everybody else is. It's just where you feel comfortable to be in counts, not where they want to put you to be in. So let us understand what this technology is bringing you. Giving you, as you've seen, if you have managed to produce a system to clean up the mess with the CO2 and the others. Medical application confirmed by Harvard University in past 72 hours to eradicate the most frightening disease called Ebola. Giving you the resources to make batteries and be happy you have energy, but you still are too tangled in the little bits. But if you look in your reactors, you can have megawatts out of it if you understand it, because Luciana has shown us something which all you have missed. Lucian showed us something very, very simple, but all of you, even himself, missed what he was showing. And then we saw how, what do you call it, Bratton Wins showed us the conversion. Let me explain to you how much you're missing things. Wins showed us a nanomaterial with cooperation with BERT. And then they put a metal inside it, in between it, and they put another nanomaterial, and they were getting energy. Now, one step further. You release that nanomaterial, and you call it GANs. And now, the GANs is in dynamic position, which greases its field, and is coming in touch with the bar in between where it's nano-coated. You're getting the sparks. Have you ever considered how much energy is going through that bar? You measured 1/2 a volt in a static condition of it. Now if you look inside the bar, you've got megawatts sitting. And you're still asking, where is the free energy? Why can't I measure it? This is why, if you look, we showed it to you, there is a reactor, very miniature reactor, aluminum, which is made by Arman, sitting in a star formation in the middle. That reactor is equipped to measure, and Arman has already measured voltages in it. 1/2 a volt?
Yeah, 1/2 a volt.
Well, so now we're going to show you how you're going to get kilowatts out of it. But it's a small brush, you cannot do much, but you can scale it. Between the 2 nano layers and the aluminum foil, you had a static condition. Now you have a rotating bar and you have a dynamic plasma. What have you missed and you don't still see? And you still say 129 Tesla is fake, is something wrong with the machine. I convince everybody there is something wrong. The only thing is wrong is your misunderstanding of not understanding what actually you've done yourself. The aluminum foil is the nano-coated bar in the middle with a copper inside. The two nano-coated material is the plasma, which is on the move. And every time the edges of the plasma touches the nano layer, you get a peak. So your plasma is isolating in the middle. It's like a grandfather's pendulum. Every time the pendulum kicks you, you go, ow. So you get a peak of energy release. And if you look, go back on the presentation of last week when Armin shows that bar in front of you, I showed you the sphere. We see the end of it. So in a way, we fixed the plate, but we haven't fixed the plasma because of the different amount of plasmas in different cores. So every time the pendulum hits, you get a burst of release of energy. And every time it's bigger and bigger because the plasma layers of nanomaterial are opening up and closing again. Even the system is making confused reading with it because it receives so much information, it doesn't know what to do. If you look at the setting of yesterday and the time before, and the first time at the beginning, and the first time we did on, was it Sunday morning? We changed at about 1 o'clock. Saturday, Sunday to Monday. The system used to read a few 9 millitesla, and then the first time it jumped to 8 or 10, with Arman and Marco jumped to 10, and yesterday went from 9 to 10 straight away, I think, to 39. But it is now. It hasn't moved much. Pardon? 74. That was this morning, but yesterday it jumped from 89 to 39. The first jump is not online. We disconnected to be able to access. So now you see the the readings are coming in line according to how much you're opening up the sponge. We asked for some updating of the system from the manufacturers of the detectors. They were very surprised yesterday when I asked them to go live online to look at it, how we are using the system. So you got to realize we are not here to show you a Ferrari with golden handles. We are here to show you how to make every piece of this Ferrari that when it's made is not yours, belongs to everybody to share. Please don't ask where is the free plasma. The free plasma is where you're detecting it, you're measuring it. Don't forget the detector is measuring into open space, is not looking at the reactor. And the fields are coming out of open space to it. And we know it's coming directly from the center in the Z, because if it was coming from the reactors above, we would have seen the reaction on the Y. If it was coming from the reactors on the bottom, we would have seen the increase in the X. So these two guys have given life to a child. They have to nourish it, and they have to understand his language. At the moment, it's a bit, what do you call it? He doesn't understand the sounds of the human being because he's used to another sound. And in time, when the two of them tune with it, that you understand the language, then you'll find out they'll have the control. And then you can ask them, can you go to the left? Can you go to the right? The fun is still to come. We just started putting the pieces together. But as I said to both of them yesterday, their soul and their blood is blessed.
So, Mr. Keshe, I would like to stop you just a second before you go in another direction. So you are
I
trying to
don't go in the
suggest
other
that...
direction, Lucian, yes. I was waiting for you to come out of the woodwork.
So you are trying to suggest that the central column will heat. So if you are running cooling fluid from that,
Doesn't heat. Plasmas do not heat. Gravitational magnetic field. What? This is your habit of humans. You got to understand. What it hits, it takes away. That's why the temperature of the plasma is always at room temperature. Heating is when you hammer it, but you're in a schizophrenic condition, darling. You got the gravitational, you got magnetical, you're fanning it. What one gives, the other one takes. The temperature is constant. Do not look for another turbine. With this technology, there is no need for turbine. Unless you're trying to make a sun. And then you're back in the old habit. I'll bring you the grandma's pressure cooker. Then you need it, because that's your way. There is no heating. Because what the gravitational field pulls in, the magnetical field releases. So in a way, that's why you see the oscillation and vibration when we put the graphs on. It's balancing of the fields. And at the same time, don't forget, the nanomaterials are a plasma. Even the structure of the cover is a plasma. They accommodate each other. So forget about your pressure cooker and your steam turbine.
Yes, I mean, a lot of people are asking, how after you build these reactors, being plastics or copper, how do you heat your house? Because apparently
you
no
don't
one does
heat
get
your
the point.
house, yeah? Okay. I'm gonna answer you because you missed the point, I think, yesterday in the children's program.
No, I was not there.
No, okay.
Too many
Now
years.
become a child. When Lucian, become a child. I'll tell you what exactly has happened. How are you gonna heat yourself? How are you gonna have the electricity for your job? If you go back on the recording of the live sessions of the lab, you might pick it up because we talk openly in the lab. Go back on the operation of the lab in the past 2 weeks. I did something very simple, and the knowledge seekers, none of them realize, because I do it, they're just there. They're like children on a playground, jumping up and down in the castle. They're not watching what is blowing up to keep the castle up. I went and I brought one of the most advanced handheld detectors. This is alpha, beta, and gamma detector. I'll tell you a story about this gamma, then you know how powerful what it is. For me to be able to buy this detector, on the advice and the permission of the Belgian government, the American developers, manufacturers were allowed to release it to me that I had to pay €100 for it. It's considered only for nuclear power stations. But it's very simple. I needed a permission because it was ordered by the Belgium Nuclear Atomic Energy Authorities. The Americans had to give it to me because they already agreed that I'm going to have one anyway, because I work in the environment, they couldn't detect anything. Now, you see this as a black sack. You've seen it in past year, even when we showed the energy system. I hung this detector. I put the detector in a sack and I hung it in between the wires. You don't even see it. It's facing the direction on the side of the course, the setting. Listen to click, click as you hear. Bloop. Bloop. And 2 days ago, I went and I said, oh, we changed the detector. All I did, I showed it, they've seen it. If you see on the top of the board, you see like a spider upside down sitting on the top board. I took the cover off. All past weeks when this detector has been hanging, has been operating with a radiation absorption cap in front of it. And you've all been listening to beep beeps. When the gravitational magnetic field of the plasma goes out and it hits above certain levels, this material, some of it is released enough that the detector picks it up as a radiation inside. 2 days ago, I took it off. You don't hear any noise now because nothing is converted. The plasma gravitational magnetic field, it does not affect the human body. I tested this for past 2 years since I had the detector. Somehow by coincidence, it's just the right material. They built it to stop any radiation to go inside when the system is not used. But it gives me the right thing in the right direction to convert the energy of the plasma to beeps, or would you like it electrical or current or whatever. How much energy do you need from the plasma? Or in another terminology, if you understand it, how do you want to wind your wire the way you did with your coil and you found the energy and you were surprised? So would you like to use these beeps to heat up, cook the soup, or warm the swimming pool? I told you, you don't even observe a millionth of what's going on around you. You're so much tied up with tangibility, even when you hear it, you don't understand it. Go back on the videos and hear the beep beeps. And then the knowledge seekers can tell you, I took the cap off, was it 2 days ago, 3 days ago? 2 days ago. And how could the machine with a cap which is specially made that no radiation goes through it, beep beeps? And a few times during the operation I always asked, I even told Marco and Armand, look how the peaks go with the peaks on the scale of the, what do you call it, of the meter. So what would you like to have, a gamma ray, or would you like to have electronic field, the strength of the radiation? You choose. It's very much like a satellite dish. How would you like to turn your dish and over what distance from the thing? The detector sits what, about 25, 30, 40 centimeter away from the core? Am I correct?
I think that I'm missing your point. You are suggesting to do these coils nano-coated to be able to convert the...
Oh, no. Put a satellite around your plasma, and then you decide which satellite you want kilowatt from, which satellite you want milliwatt from. But understand how you convert which part. If you're converting the gravitational field strength, or are you converting the magnetical field strength? Because there's a big difference between the two. So all you need, go back to what you did with your wires around making a hole and putting a guns inside. Now the material which you wound the wire around it is imaginary, it's free. You have to find out how close you want to be in that, near that hole where you put your GANS material in. Do you want a kilowatt or do you want a megawatt? And don't forget, plasma works by the order of magnitudes, going internally in reverse on magnitude strength. So a kilowatt should be very easy for you to produce if you know how to change that physical winding of the speaker you use and you put your wire, your winding on it. We're going to show you. We have a coil made in the center. As I told you, it was especially developed. We're going to bring that in that you lot all see as much energy as you like. But you're not ready for it. If you do it yourself, it's good. If I do it, I'll get killed. So this way, let us all get killed by the people who don't want us to have, and then they have no customer to supply with it either. Understand? So
let me tell you something. I'm working to do the copper oxide gases, and I will change the CO2 with the copper oxide as you suggested. I will let you know if there is any changes.
Yeah, we are changing, Luciana. In a couple of months, in a couple of weeks or before Christmas, Arman has already changed one of the reactors to the GANs. Yeah, copper oxide, and we took it out again. Yeah. So we are going today after we finish the session. Have you got the plates with you? Yeah. So what you're going to see, hopefully next time we put the cameras on, you won't see the orange frame anymore. Everything goes on a stacker because we got all the pieces of it's going to do it, because to move these huge things to the other lab is very difficult. Secondly, all the power supplies which are there if we need to interfere are going at the bottom of the stack, and the detectors go on the top that we all can see. And then hopefully we connect this set to a table in the lab that you can see, that we can sit on the table, that it flies all of us together. This is the plan. But that's a few weeks ago, a few months ago.
Only one more question for you. These ferrites that are used in transformers are a mixture of oxides. Iron oxides, I think titanium oxides. So we discussed in the group to make like some sort of funnel to put the caustic inside, so we can do nano coating inside the ferrite. So after this will be done, I will try to put the copper oxide GANs to see what we get there. So
that's fantastic. That is perfect, because if you are doing it, you are literally doing what we do with the Coca-Cola bottle. Coca-Cola bottle is nano-coated itself, as we know from our German friends. They put it in the plastic machine and it kicks it out because it behaves different. So what you're doing, you're going back to what we did with nano-coating the reactors, original reactors with the gases filling. But my advice to you is don't do it. Because then your container becomes a filter, dictating what energy can come out of your reactor, your hole you made to put things in. This is one of the reasons.
Understand.
This is one of the reasons we did not coat the small GANs reactors. And if you do it, don't put a center into it either, because then all the energy has to be dictated by the material inside in the center. You're going in a very good direction, Luciana. It's with your team. I congratulate you, but try to think in a plasma direction, not in the matter strength. And whenever you want to change, always create a nano layer barrier that it becomes a mediator between the plasma and the matter. Because the plasmatic magnetic field of the plasma is so high, it just goes through the matter. It's just like neutrinos, it just goes through. By accident, if one of the electrons or one of the neutrons or one of the protons in 100 kilogram bar of copper is in the change of, for example, from principal to, let's say, transition, which is at the strength of your plasma outside, then you might see a pulse. So use intermediary of nano-coated copper or nano-coated any material that layers of gravitational magnetic field, some hundreds, maybe 100, 200,000 layer between the what you see as a surface of nano layer to the copper itself, becomes a filter for the frequency which you need. In time, I'll teach you how you tune into plasma. How you go, you see the top outer layer of the nano layer, it goes to the order of magnitude by 10 to the power of 50, 60,000. The last layer of where there is an interface between nanomaterial and the copper, if you understand the space between the 100,000 layers of nanolayers, 200,000 is so big, is in micro. So then you choose where you want to be. The thickness of your nanolayer, if you can connect to every layer, will allow you to go from instantaneous speed, energy, to below micro electrons. Do something, test if you are doing it.
So this is suggesting me this issue. I don't know if you are aware, but there is something what is called flat transformers. That means the windings are just pieces of PCBs connected with each other. So I'm thinking to do something like this, coat the tracks of copper.
Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to? I'll show you an easier way. Wear a glove.
You suggest, okay.
Yeah, wear a glove. Nano coat a copper, strip of copper or a copper wire. Wear a glove. Don't touch the nanomaterial before you use it. But try to practice before that you exert the same amount of pressure on the nano-coated wire. And then use different pressures for different wires and measure the current you get out of them. By crushing certain numbers of the layers, you dictate that this bandwidth I don't need. And you only absorb. You'll find out you make a system and you touched it, so you make a copper nanowire and you touch it so much, and you get 0.01 volt, and another guy who worked very immaculately like the Germans, and they get 1.2 volts. Both done the same thing, but you don't understand how come. Because the minute you touch the nano layers, you have dictated the limit of absorption and rejection and electron transfer. So you have to take note of what you're doing, not just because you made the system. Even when you make the GANs of material and you put it in dynamic condition, you have a packing order in the reactor. And you find out that the ones which are in the background near the wall behave totally different than the ones which are in the liquid side. If it's very hard to understand, go back to the medical section, go back to the structure of the brain. The easiest command with less energy needed, but it can be done very frequently, sits at the outer boundary of the edge of the brain. Your fingers, your arms, the movement, these are useless things, but it needs to be done. As you go to the center core, to number 5 we call it, thalamus, you find out the packing is very compact and most of the energy comes out of it. One little center controls the whole operation of every single cell in the body. And then understand the working and the structure of your GANs in your copper reactors, in plastic or anything you like. Then you decide if you want 1 milliwatt or you want 2 kilowatt. Next question. Hello, there is something wrong here, we lost. Hello? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Ah, okay.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We are
When you were
back, right?
explaining the magnetic fields, the gravitational fields when they cross between two entities, at the points where they cross, is that where matter is created on different dimensions?
Can you repeat, please?
Sure. When you were explaining where the gravitational and magnetic fields cross between two entities, where they're connected and they cross in the center, is that where matter is created on different dimensions?
That what? I don't understand what you're talking about.
when you had the two spherical entities and you had the gravitational and magnetic field lines coming out of each one and going to the other, and they crossed in the center on the way to each other. At the point center where they crossed, is that where matter is created on different dimensions?
Not really. Matter is created on the strength of the observer, plasmatic magnetic field. You decide the state of the matter, not the plasma.
Okay.
Your gravitational magnetic field of your amino acid decides what becomes matter to you. You will understand this very soon. I'll show it to you in the operation of the reactor.
And I have another thing. As far as the nano coating process with the water, I was thinking maybe we could do a liquid, like put a balloon bladder and put the materials inside there with and do a burn inside the water, so we can reach higher temperatures to nano coat other materials. Have you done something like that before?
Why? Can you explain what's the reason for it?
To get the higher temperatures for metals.
No. You see, I think you better go back to the first teaching session of the knowledge seekers, and the one before that, the first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I did first with Rick. The whole process of nano coating is not to create higher temperature. The whole process of nano coating at the temperature with a caustic is to create not the melt and not evaporation. To create, this is the whole technology of plasma technology. You create conditions, and that condition which you create with caustic allows the top few atomic layers of the copper to become loose enough not to melt the whole thing and not to be freed from the metal. So in that state, they become atomic and what you call nano.
Right, I understand that, but what I was thinking is, say,
So
like
why
an
do you need to
example.
heat up more?
Well,
it doesn't make any difference.
If you had a metal,
yeah, carry on.
If you had a metal that say gets to that condition at 1,000 degrees, and you say you light gunpowder on fire inside of it and burn, but it won't melt the metal, but it'll get just the right conditions with the other materials to coat.
Depends what material you're using, huh?
Yeah, but
I presume if you use the, what do you call it, the pancake sponge they use for heat shield for the shuttles to come back in, you'll have nothing left as a nanomaterial because it's just a what do you call it, the popcorn. But it stands high temperatures. These, if you want to understand in so many ways the behavior of the plasma in the reverse with the nanomaterial interaction, ask the NASA boys to give you, what do you call it, a piece of these sponges of the heat shields of the shuttles. It's very much absorbs the strongest field from outside, and by the time it gets to the back end, which is sitting against the plane, there is nothing. You want a high temperature, you want gigawatts, or do you want milliwatts? And then by the temperature you release what you want, and that's the structure, the way it's released from inside when you heat it. You got to understand what you have in your hand that allows you to reach that condition. That you do not go too far to melt, and you do not go too far to evaporate. Very interesting. The Japanese have come up with a very interesting technology. This technology is very simple, but it goes back what we didn't understand or we forgot. And but they developed it in a very nice way. For example, a camshaft which would have lasted you 1 year now lasts you 50 years. And they're selling, they're promoting the technology in a very rapid way. All it is, a scientist in a factory came up with one idea. Go back to the time when they forged metal. The more you hammer the metal and the more you fold it and you hammer it, you increase its strength because it becomes more compact. And there is a limit that you can forge hammer the metal. But you want the outside to be strong, but not the inside. But at the same time, the transfer to be orderly between inside and outside of a, let's say, camshaft. What did it come up with? They have made near enough nano bigger size pinballs, ball bearings, as a dust. And what they do, they make a camshaft like everybody else, and then they put them through this process that they get hit by billions of little balls that it does the same job as forging. And the material comes packed in a way that you need it. Now do the same thing, same type of thing, nanomaterial. Then you see a difference in the structure and what temperature. You don't need much heat to separate even gold. Mr. Clausen can tell you, he's playing with it very, very, very nicely. We're going to ask him very soon to come and show his his way he's trying to create gold. You don't need temperatures. Depends what material you need at what temperature. For what? Just not to release the atom from its gravitational magnetic bounding with other atoms of itself, and not hot enough to become molten and becomes part of the river of the material. I know there are some Chinese scientists who are going in a very correct direction regarding this, and I congratulate you. You know who you are. We are monitoring what you are doing, and it's perfect in what you're achieving. Very strange is because we sit where we are, it's becoming more and more clear to me the state of understanding of this technology is getting a shape of national cultural barrier. The one in the East, through their understanding and mentality of being balanced in yin and yang and the way they live, are reaching the goals and the levels of the foundation technology much faster than the West, which is all materialistic. And I'm monitoring the both. It's very, very interesting. Scientists from South America are achieving much more than the scientists in Northern America. Because they're more in tune, they more understand the balance. They're not looking for to be the top and to be the biggest and to have the most longest car in the world. They like to see what the little mini performs and he can do the job perfect. And it's a cultural development, and I'm watching. It's amazing how it's coming up. It's a in a way, if we could bring the enthusiasm of the West with the settlement and the patience and the balance of the East, we achieve a lot of good things in the Middle East between the two. Because you speak to the Americans, you speak to Canadians, you speak even to the English scientists. They are walking and talking about trillions and billions. I had this experience last week at Las Almas scientists. How can you have, we use 1.4 gigawatts and so much to create 100 Tesla, and how much are you using? 12 watts? It's impossible. But if you look in the universe, huge Teslas are released in neutron level without any power generator of 1 gigawatt. And the Chinese and the people who have the Eastern culture education of balance are reaching the plasma condition and the use of the plasma much faster than the West. Because they are looking in the root, in the essence, and the West is looking for the size and tangibility. And I see, when I speak now with the Chinese, because I start having more interaction because of the researches they are doing, I start appreciating and understanding, evaluating the way they are approaching, and understand and appreciate the ways the Western people are doing it. Somewhere walk away from megas and come into this, and then you find out that somewhere about one is about the average you need. Next question.
Yes, I have.
Hello?
Go ahead, Lucian.
Okay, I am on. Okay, one more question, Mr. Keshe. Marco is doing that experiment with the plastic tubes and the pumps that are pumping two different gases. Is there any progress on that, or I'm assuming
not
that
yet,
the plastic tubes
is abandoned. It's a child abandoned at the moment. It's running itself. We haven't stopped it, but because of the situation with the reactors, we literally tiptoe more or less around the lab. The section beyond the table is blocked, so we cannot pick up any of the tools and the equipment we need. And this week, when the GANS reactors are moved to their own lab section, then we have a freedom to do other tests and carry on with other things. But as I said to the knowledge seekers last week, is that the jump in the knowledge transfer is so rapid and so fast with these balanced reactors which Arman has created thanks to his work, that we have to put everything on a standstill till we see and we see the results. And there is another set on the way, then you will start seeing beautiful things. That's why I restructured the setting. There is beautiful, beautiful things to come. Hopefully we can achieve it before Christmas. And as I said, we are on our 2014 roadmap plan, more or less, in achieving what we are trying to do. You see, what the problem has been, Luciana, is that the other 8 reactors we had were of different makes and different things. We could not come to balance. With these new small reactors, everything is exactly the same, so we can create a balanced environment and achieve things much rapidly. And I was even told, which is a surprise to us, but there is a lot of things we discuss later. John is planning to build his own copper reactors, or aluminum reactors, apparently he's designing. And it's getting financed most probably by the Belgian government. So we will see what is about to come. So we have to see and learn more with the balanced reactors, and this is the conditions which we are having. Any other question?
Yeah, there's a couple of questions. One from Isaiah Noble. When is the system going to be taken outside, and when is the middle bar being removed off the copper GANS reactors?
When we are ready. There is a way. Arman has, we discussed it yesterday, but Arman doesn't know it, but it's going to happen very soon. Is that what we're going to do is, when you see the stacker unit, you understand. The stacker unit has 4 levels. One is at the bottom to carry the batteries which we're going to put in with the what do you call it, the power supplies. The one rack from the bottom is the plate you see already, with the motors being held underneath and the beam on the top in the center. And then there is going to be a plate on the top to be able to suspend the what do you call it, the bottom reactor. And then there is a plate on the top where the load cell is going to be fitted on that it can go through. In that structure, we're going to take off, when we understand the whole operation, we are going to take off the bar out and connect the motor of the central top core, the principal core on the top, to the plate on the top of the hanging plate. Which means the core will hang in the same position, but from up, and the motor is sitting on it. So the space in the middle will be empty. We take the shaft out. So when we come to it, we do it. But at the moment, it's not time for it to be done, because there is a lot more to learn before we go that way. There's a lot more to learn, especially for the defense technology. When I speak about the defense technology, let me explain. When I talk about defense technology, it is not to do with the military defense and defense of the system in respect to the environment is going to be done. Because the system, once we go in, has to be able, you got to realize a very simple thing. Once we establish a full core system, balanced plasma beyond the boundary of the frame, then we are subjected to the magnetic gravitational winds of the environment. You are not conditioned on the wind or the blow, because it will be in the room, in the closed room, but there are magnetic fields above human level that we see it, that they can disturb the process and topple it over. That's why I said to the knowledge seekers, we got to secure the base that it doesn't topple over. So once that's established, we take the pin out and we literally bring the motor center core to the top, but keeping it exactly in the same position. So the middle bar disappears. But maybe after Christmas. But on the other hand, you've seen the operation past day, 2 days, huh? Do you need a motor or do you need a middle shaft? Marco is shaking his head. No. We can even take it out today. But let us do our experiment with the speeds, with the variation in the speeds that we all learned from it. It's alive, we can all see, all learn, and then we go to the next step. Next question.
Can you hear me, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, I can.
Okay, just making sure. Okay, so there's a question from Ad, and it's more of a question or hypothesis. And it says, hypothesis on GANs, gold, and cancer, and other GANs of the copper group. Is it so that through creation process of alpha decay, like in Fukushima, and through the use of the nanowires as a final stage in this process, the decay of gold in a state of -1 and the decaying oxygen by leaving a free positron created the dynamic GANs of AUO in this process. In the process of using GANs AUO, because the normal human cell will not accept it as a supplier of oxygen, because the gold is of a higher order than the body needs, while the cancer cells, being of a higher order themselves, will attract the dynamic GANs, gold, oxygen, but in being unable to extract the energy of the oxygen because of the dynamic GANs AUO. That is not able to give it freely without destroying itself, thereby creating a sort of balance between the cancer cell and the GANs of the AUO. Gives the body time to reorganize.
Can I ask a question? Why do you think that the magnetic gravitational field of a cancer cell is equal to gold? This is a hypothesis again, going back to human level. The cancer, because I have done tests in the medical side. This is irrelevant. That doesn't work that way, because it's a good way of thinking, but let me explain to you something. We go back. This should be done in the medical side, but when you bring it this way, not trying to be dismissive, but scientifically explaining to you exactly what happens. Most of the cancers in the human body has a metal-based reason. People who come to us with the deep cancer problems, I usually look for a metallic content within the body. The Keshe Foundation medical team in Belgium, when we used to work there on the health center, anybody who came to us with a cancer, we asked for the full details of metal content in the body, in the blood. Why metals? I always explain, you cannot go camping for a week when you have 3 days of supply. So you have to find supply from somewhere for 4 days. Metals, heavy metals, are the suppliers of the energy, and then they become part of the cancer process, because they can support the life of the cancer cell with a higher order energy. So if you put a gold in presence of the cancer, you don't destroy it, you feed it more. And a test has shown, when we developed a system that we get rid of these metals within the body, the cancer reverses. So you never introduce metals into the cancer zone. According to our research, it's the gravest thing you can do, because you add a power supply. Metals carry more power energy than actually the hydrogen or the oxygen. So to my understanding and the way I've done development in the medical side, I will not even go near the gold. You got to understand there is a big difference between GaNs and metal. But if your GaNs behaves as a metal in the environment of the cancer, you literally grow cancer like a weed across the body. The cancer cells are a higher order magnetic field gravitational system of their own. Because of the higher order, they create a higher gravitational field, and usually as tumors or cancer cells, they attract more, because of their gravitational field strength, open channels of the blood and nerve system to themselves. And that's how the cancer spreads, and that's how cancer gets into the bloodstream. You create a heavy pull, and that heavy pull attracts everything around it. Blood is one of them. That's how you find the rapid increase in cancers when the limbs are removed, because you put the cancer in the bloodstream. With a metal connection with a cancer, you create a cavity, and then that creates a self-magnetic field gravitational cavity, not cavity as a space cavity. And then it gets pulled in, and it brings in the blood, and it feeds itself, and then you find how they go very fast. Introduction of nanomaterials, especially in the metal level, in the cancer level, unless you understand what you're doing, is horrendously wrong, according to our research. And we can always be 100% wrong. Next question.
I don't see any more questions here. Let me just check the live stream. Nope, I don't see any more questions on the live stream. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
It'll be fantastic. Yeah, we got a very heavy days coming up. Yes, what we're going to do is, as I said today, Armin and Marco were supposed to teach you how to make nano layers, but they've been busy with controlling the key. So Armin is laughing. We try to teach you.
He just wants to get out of it.
Out of where? Doing it.
Out of the.
Now
Yes.
you know him too well, I think. No, but if you look at what we said, what I showed you with these containers, we put these containers in a different way. About 4 or 5 months ago, if I can show it to you there. You can see the ball on the table. I think if you switch the lights off, you might see it better. You see a distance ball. This is the ball which was made by copper oxide about, was it 4 or 5 months ago?
The brain, yeah.
The brain, yeah. Now, because the people who went out to especially destroy this, that this doesn't happen, we convert it to this. There is no difference between this and what's in there. That has been tampered with deliberately. We see it because Marco and I found the hole on the top has been opened up. And if you see on the top, we don't see it from a distance, there's a empty space now, evaporation, because they removed it to inject material in to destroy it. And it's done by one of the knowledge seekers. I told you, the enemy within us sits within us, not from outside. So they thought it was very clever. I made sure these containers are made, have never been touched, sealed by Armin and Marco, and now they had it. So what we have done with these units is bypassing the interference and tampering with the materials in the lab and here. The whole thing is that what we shown in past 48 hours was set up as this brain months ago to be done. And now, due to the situation we are, in the coming days, you will see the new brains which Armin has made. They are little Christmas balls. He's already coated them. And it will be held in the hand. There is a reason we chose that one. When you choose a spherical one, it will be the same structure as a plasma. You don't see materials like this in the universe. It has to be spherical, but that was because of the speed of development and what we are doing. This week we use this, and in the future we use the same, because then it will be the same shape as the what do you call it, the reactors. The whole thing, slowly after months, is coming, pieces of jigsaw is coming together. And this jigsaw is a three-dimensional stack from the bottom up. Slowly, slowly, we're getting to somewhere on the first level, first step, and there are about 1,000 steps on this ladder. So you know how much more is left. Armin is looking at me, says, what are we doing here? He's shaking his head. He says, just the first step. You'll be old and gray by the time you get to the second one. Forget about the 1,000 one. The reality is that start thinking and working on understanding the structure of the plasma. And if it's too far, you don't understand it, start looking at the structure of your own body. Then you understand more of the plasma. And start understanding the behavior of yourself in respect to your environment, to your children, to your wife. And then you understand it. It is very, very interesting. If, even in your life, in your private life, you find that there is a point and you are in a marriage, that the marriage is because of the problem which you are not cause of it, but your partner is. And you can make, with love and care, your partner to understand the problem you have in respect to the relationship should accommodate your problem, or he'll accommodate your problem. Then you find peace. There's no difference between that and the two plasmas in the reactor. Accommodating. Understanding what the need is and how the need needs to be satisfied in a way that it does not take from nobody, but it gives more from you than from them. And then they appreciate the gift. It's the same thing. If you look at the peak of the plasma, the reactor gives a lot of peaks out. But when you look at the small peaks, don't look at these huge peaks. When we put it on a graph, look when the Y goes up and when the Y goes down. And then look when, at the same time, the X goes up and X goes down. When everybody says we are in need, you find out a peak we need to get, we are short of. In fact, the other system, which is sitting inside the cage, the first set, is still connected to a monitor. We never show it, but it's on the monitor on the computer. We see it. I monitor that all the time. If you look yesterday input on the live stream, I put I'm feeding the reactors 1 hydrogen. We're still looking after it. I still feed them, nourish them, and keep them going. And I've done during the whole summer holiday, even there is no motor running. On a daily basis, I put clothes on them that they don't get cold and they don't lose everything. And we call it layers of nitrogen and helium. And every day I give 1 shot of helium hydrogen to all of them. And those seems in the past days, you don't hear the radio. It's not just the field of the reactor which is passing, which is the radio is behind the first and the second set. It means the reactors on the way are in need of, so they're receiving. I see the monitor, which is controlling the reactor in the center, how much it has deep down. It's really gone down. We used to see 0.7, 0.6, 0.5. We used to push it to 0.7, but 0.5, 0.54, 0.59 was normal. Now when you put the switch on, it's 0.39. It's come down nearly to half. That's 60% below, 70% below. Because now they have somebody to feed them and I look after it. That's why I said, you got to start understanding the totality of the picture, not just what you want to see. And it becomes much and much easier. It becomes much faster to achieve what we want to achieve. I think you will see a lot of, what did somebody tell me? You do a lot of preaching. I don't preach because if I don't tell you the other side, you will fall under the mistakes of the past are made. Science and ethos of control of the new science and be part of the science goes hand in hand. So try to start looking at a plasma the way it is, in a plasma science, not as a plasma in a blood or a plasma in a physics. Then everything becomes much easier. We will try new steps in the coming weeks, new steps in understanding and explaining. No research lab in the world has ever put their cameras 24 hours a day on. No one ever done. This doesn't come out of weakness.
And I thank you for that, Mr. Keshe. We've been very busy watching.
Yeah, I know. I don't think your wife likes you much nowadays, huh? You spend more time on watching the computer nowadays, the way I see. I'm in the same boat as you. Because we all want to make the change. We want to be part of the change in a positive way. So, as I said, no organizations, no fund, no research lab has ever. The people think, oh, these are fools. Do you know how much money they're spending, they're losing by doing this? So much research they're showing and they can make millions? Because I understand one thing. When I go past the, 2 kilometers, even 100 meters from the surface of this planet, there's no American who can jump 100 meters up and give me $1. It's worth nothing anymore. The worth of $1 is as high as the tallest man can jump. Beyond that, you can't give it to no one in the space. So, I know in a time very short, man is in the space. What would you like to deal in a spaceship? I give you $2 if you give me a lollipop, and we are going to Mars, we are never coming back. So, understand the need not to get something, but give that when I need, I can give more. It's a big difference. In a very short time. In a shorter than you can imagine, when a man is in a space on a continuous basis, and as we said, we open the aquarium of universe to the man, you ask them, how many dollars would you like to take to Planet Zook? It's worth nothing. So try to bring the ethos of the technology and the ethos of life together, and then you're there. That's why I said there are no churches, mosques, and synagogues in the universe. All man-made. And I said again, and I always say it, greenback worth as much as the tallest man can jump. Beyond that, he cannot reach and is worth nothing. The whole process is very, very, very sensitive, because the change is shocking a lot of people. Somebody sent me an email. President Putin, His Excellency President Putin has got a cancer. Can you help? My response was very easy. He knows where we are and he knows what we can do. The same thing, I received an email. His Holiness Ayatollah Khamenei is suffering from the prostate cancer. Can you help? I said, they know who we are, they know where we are, and offer has already been made. We did the same thing, which shocked a lot of people. When we start finding a solution for ILS, one of the first people I offered the technology was to Stephen Hawking, who's suffering from this. But he knows if he talks, and he can't talk and walk, he has to apologize to a lot of people who have stolen technology from and science from. So he prefers to stay silent. This is how the change comes. There are no enemies. We are there to accommodate each other. We are all the same. Doesn't matter what rope, one position we hold in the society. If there is no more questions, at 11 o'clock we call it a day.
Just one last question, a quick one, Mr. Keshe. Some people are wondering if the CO2 kits are being shipped yet, or
CO2 kits we said was in the forum that will be done within 30 days. The Italians had to modify things with one hole, and the manufacturer had to do it. All the kits should be out by the end of next week, because there was a problem with the stability of the plates in the container. So it was done with one hole, then it had to be done with the second hole, and the material is getting delivered to the factory, I think, tomorrow. And we said in the beginning, it will be done within 30 days. We should cover it in time, because the only is coating of the plates, and everything else is in hand. Because I know the nickel plates are arriving on Monday, Tuesday. It just goes in the packing and sends out. It's just the first batch. We found the fault in the design.
Just to clarify on that, you mean zinc, I think, and not nickel?
Zinc. Yeah, zinc.
Okay, thank you.
Zinc plates. So
Great.
there was
Thanks
a
for that.
manufacturing fault.
Thanks for that.
Design fault. Yeah, it's just all it is one of the plate has one hole for the connection of the wires, and then when it came to be hung on in the container, it was dropping into when the CO2 was made, it would have dropped into the CO2, and it would have made a short circuit between the two plates. So the manufacturers had to do things, and being Italian, everything takes time. The second hole had to be added that we could hang it equal away from the bottom, that you could use the plates for a longer time.
Well, that's good that an improved product is coming out from the weight. That's great.
Yeah, it's going to be done because what happened, there was a design that there was a bar put in by the Italians, and that bar being, they thought it's a good design to put in, what do you call it, brass. And I explained to them, once you put a brass, you create different conditions and different materials will mix with the CO2. It has to be wire and out of the place, so it's a teething problem with the design. I think the Japanese unit will be out very fast. The Japanese guy in the next couple of weeks will launch theirs. Hopefully next month or so. It'll be on the same basis. And then we'll see what the Chinese and the South Americans do.
I'll tell you quickly about my idea for the Canadian one, which is the Canadian penny, which has just been made obsolete by our government recently, and people have stacks of them at home. Many of them in the 1997 to 1999 year range, well, all of them in 1997 to 1999 range, have copper outside, but there's zinc inside. So I figure if I can grind one side of the coin, I'll have a zinc exposed, and the copper cladding on the rest of it, I can nano coat that. It'll have the copper and zinc all in one piece. Do you think that would work in a...
Why not? It's fantastic. See how much current you can get out of it.
Exactly, yeah, we could stack them, stack pennies.
I'll ask my sister to send us some very quick.
It has to be 97 to 99 to have the zinc. Otherwise, ones before that are 98.5% copper. They're very, almost pure copper. The ones after that are steel. If they are attracted by a magnet, then they are steel ones from 2000 and up. That's Canadian. So other countries, you're...
Oh, you Canadians have a lot of problems nowadays, huh?
I'll say. That's the least of them, is our penny, I'll tell you.
Yeah, a lot of problems. They take your brass from you, and then you hook copper and give you metal. It's still worth the same.
If you're a scientist, they'll take everything away from you, it seems.
Oh, the man who has been in Iraq is not going to be there very soon. I hope we don't get worse one there. Don't worry, don't forget it. I suffered from him. Because it's a long story, you all know. He was online ordering Haga to be kept in the airport, and Haga going to be threatened. And the stupid guy, the officer, was telling me, I've got 5 ministers online asking me questions. I have to ask you. One of them was the Prime Minister's office. So I know who you got on your head. Any other question?
I think that's it for now. We can...
Thank you very much. We meet tomorrow at 2 o'clock with the medical. And I think, Rick, while we're here, everybody knows about it. Thank you very much for all your work. But if you can speak to James regarding the Keshe Foundation teaching live stream in China from Monday, we can sort something out to be online.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah, so you can still learn this, because at the moment, if you are interested in agriculture, because the agriculture guy in China has done a lot of work and he's grown a lot of things, he can show his pictures on what he's doing, and other things which are there, like the spectroscopies, which is done by the Chinese scientists in China. We'll speak with them and we'll discuss it. Then it can be used by all, because it's translated to English, because I don't know Chinese, then we can all learn from it. in a different way than allows the agriculture to be developed through the Chinese Keshe Foundation and all of us learning from it.
That workshop be translated in Chinese simultaneously as you speak?
Yeah, yes. We have James who does the translation, and we have a lady who does the translation. Anybody who doesn't speak, but they seem to be fairly good with the language.
Right on,
But,
that sounds great.
Yeah, but this is, you know, you speak to James, James can tell you. I think we do that, the first one we start is at 12 o'clock on Monday, or at least teach them how they got to do it and how we're going to do it. And you can put it on recording that any other people can listen. We can enjoy learning some Chinese. And maybe
Mr.
we
Keshe,
come
if
to
you don't mind,
yeah.
if the gentleman with the spectroscopy is not a secret his name, probably I would like to speak directly with him, if you don't mind about that.
No, because they've done some spectroscopies. No, you can come online on Chinese and ask questions.
No, probably speak in English later.
Just disguise your
We
voices,
have a
yeah.
translator. James is a very competent translator, and I think it's Lynn who translates. She's very good.
Lisa.
Lixin
Lisa, yeah,
Yeah, Lisa.
Lisa is very good. So we have to learn not to be shy because we don't speak a language. And hopefully tomorrow we'll come to an agreement with the Mexico Spanish group to run the process in Spanish. We got to learn to have the patience. We had the comfort of for us, and it gets translated to theirs. Now we have to translate. At least we have it the chance to translate it to English to understand. As I said, we'll teach every day of the week. Most probably Tuesdays we'll go to the Spanish speaking, and then we have to once we come to an agreement with our Indian connections, we do the Urdu or Hindi if they need to, because we cannot exclude because of the language. I'm prepared to teach 24 hours a day as long as I can sleep somewhere in between.
Okay, I guess that's it for today.
Okay. No, I think that's it. Now thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thank you indeed. Goodbye for today.
Thank you very much.
And as I've said so many times, and probably with an echo today because the software did not work properly, so ends the 34th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. Thank you everybody for attending, and see you next week.